Step up to the plate and be a parent. Decide that your family is your most important calling and commit yourself to it. Take the job of caring for your kids. It won't be easy. It won't always be fun, but it will be worth it. You'll never be a perfect parent. You don't even have time to be a great parent. But I'm urging you to take the time and effort to be a good parent. You can do it. This book can help. An idea whose time has come. The time has come for an idea I call reality discipline. It's a consistent, decisive, and respectful way for parents to love and discipline their children. Notice I said discipline and not punish. I said love and not smother love. Reality discipline steers a course between an authoritarian style and a permissive style, giving kids some choices but also holding them accountable. I'm as happy as anyone that we no longer live in the dark ages when children were supposed to be seen and not heard, and heaven help them if they let out a peep. I'm also relieved to see that we no longer wallow in the over-permissiveness of the 1950s and 60s, which saw many parents being led astray by the notion that disciplining their children would inhibit their little psyches. Now I see many families groping between those two extremes. As a family therapist, I talk to parents and their children every week. I also travel widely to speak to parents and teachers about child rearing, discipline, and guidance. What I see and hear is that in too many homes today, otherwise sophisticated and educated parents are still not sure they know the difference between discipline and punishment, between permissiveness and loving nurture. They're asking questions like, how do I really love my children? How do I respect my children? How can I hold them accountable for their actions? How do I get them to do what I think they ought to do without resorting to physical or verbal violence? What about spanking? Is it necessary? How much? How often? In this book, I present reality discipline. It's an attempt to answer all those questions in a sensible, workable way. Once I was flying home from appearing on the 700 Club when a businessman across the aisle struck up a conversation with me. Now, I'm not a talker on airplanes, but this man was. After he rambled on for a while, he asked, "And what do you do?" I'm always hesitant to say I'm a psychologist or a Christian speaker. Both of those tend to spook people. So I said I was just doing a show. He asked me more about it, and I described the family building comments I had presented on the TV program. "That's really good stuff," he said. "Where did a young man like you get such wisdom?" At least I was younger than he was. "To tell you the truth," I replied, "I got it out of one book." He immediately reached into his pocket and pulled out a little computer with a notepad program, preparing to write the title and author of this brilliant book. "It's the Bible," I said slowly, B-I-B-L-E. The truth is that reality discipline is inspired by Scripture. It actually finds its basis in a brief passage from the New Testament where the Apostle Paul writes, "Children, obey your parents. This is the right thing to do because God has placed them in authority over you. Honor your father and mother. This is the first of God's 10 commandments that ends with a promise. And this is the promise, that if you honor your father and mother, yours will be a long life full of blessing." And now a word to you parents. Don't keep on scolding and nagging your children, making them angry and resentful. Rather, bring them up with the loving discipline the Lord Himself approves, with suggestions and godly advice. Ephesians 6, verses 1 through 4. The words I want to pay particular attention to are obey authority and loving discipline. My goal is to give parents specific ways to use their authority correctly as they bring up obedient children with loving discipline. At this point, you may be trying to place me on some kind of scale. How firm do I believe a parent should be? Do I recommend spanking or not? Well, I believe spanking has a place, but in most cases, it should not take first place. At the same time, I strongly believe that when we discipline children, their psyches are not in danger. The white glove technique went out with the early excesses of Dr. Spock. But the keynote of reality discipline is love. One of the astounding things that I see again and again is that many children